First, we're going to prep our substrate. I'm using a deglosser, which will not just clean, but etch and give my substrate some tooth to receive my base paint, which, as you saw, it is bare, primer, and painter in one. Your base paint is going to be the undertones of your chosen wood color, and I'm applying it with a brush. Then we're going to come over that with a 50-50 glaze to paint ratio. I am using a burnt umber, and I'm just burnishing it on in a streaky formation in the direction that I want my wood graining to be. And as you can see, I'm just simply using a sponge. This is the easiest and fastest application. You can see that it already has that woody look and feel to it. My final step is going to be the actual wood graining technique. For this step, I am using actual wood staining products. Now, I'm using a Minwax gel stain. Up until this point, I've been using latex, water-based products. This happens to be an oil. It's going to give it a little luminosity, which is what I want. Also, I spiked it with about 1/16, could be off, give or take, of a little satin polyurethane. Reason being, it'll give it even more luminosity, and I don't want to come in and apply the top coat. It'll just be too surface and too shiny. So I'm integrating it into the gel stain. This is just going to give it a little more durability too. The gel stain is a consistency like a glaze, so it thinned it a little, yet it's still firm enough for me to work with and not have it runny. I'm using old, well broken in, used chip brushes. I brush on the glaze or gel stain, and then I scrape it off. These brushes are very stiff and organic in nature because they are so used. The bristles are not in uniform perfection. They are spatially organic at this point, the bristles. And I even took some scissors and cut some deviations into it to give it a little more organic nature to the graining. I am isolating each panel and making it as organic and independent from the other panels as I can. Some will be fine-grained. This one's a little more woody. I want them to look so natural, and this is the trickery of faux wood graining. This is also the reason I like using chip brushes rather than wood graining tools. Sometimes if you just use a wood graining tool over and over again, it looks like the same pattern again and again. Now, that's not to say that I never use wood graining tools, because I do. In fact, if I wanted this to look like an oak door, I would use that oak graining tool, just not on every panel. Here and there, just giving it that oaky feel. I am actually going for more of a cherry wood on my doors here, but not cherry wood in color, just in grain. This is something you'll just want to practice over and over again until you come up with your own little formula. I simply flow with this. I've been doing it for so long, and I think just watching me do it is the best way to learn. So the first step is coming in and brushing that gel on, streaky and woody in itself. Then I come in with a stiff dry brush and I'm scraping it off. Then I come in, another dry brush, and I'm tapping it, which is pulling off. If your brush is dry, it's going to pull the gel off. This tapping is giving it a fibrous look. Wood has fibers in it, and this is probably one of my most favorite little techniques to do because, boy, it just brings it home. I often will come in like I am now and just smoothing. This is feather light. I am not scraping off, nor am I applying. I'm just simply working with the wet glaze and just fluffing it over to blur some of the lines so it doesn't look painted. Now this is a stiff, smaller artist brush, which I'm just kind of putting a little, very mild little knots here and there. And I just do that by pressing it in and twisting. Now, I'm not going crazy with knots because then it will start looking like pine. Pine is loaded with knots, and don't want this to look like pine. So just here and there, it just kind of gives more interest to each panel here and there. One thing that you might want to do if you're just not able to come up with variations of graining and where to start and stop with, changing it up on each panel, just get a couple of chunks of wood and really study it or lay it next to you and mimic it. That's the best way. That's how I started. I've been doing this for so long that I don't even think. It's almost, like when you ride a bike, you don't think about what you're doing, you just do it. And that's the point that I'm at right now. I just know where I want it heavier, thinner, softer, grainier, and just kind of what's optically pleasing to me, darker panels, lighter panels, just keeping it a nice layout and what's visually pleasing. So until you get to that point, go ahead and just look at wood. Whatever wood you're trying to mimic, lay it down next to you and mimic it. Best way to learn. Oil-based products also give you a very large window of work time. Latex will start setting up and drying faster than some people are able to work, but the oil-based, best advice I can give you, just flow with it, just go for it, just enjoy it. You have plenty of time to work with this, and let's say it just comes out a disaster. Paint the one panel over and start again. You don't have to redo the whole project, but just go for it. It's the only way to get over any humps, any frustrations. Just go for it and enjoy it.